Back, he played very well in Perth, prepared to hit the ball, to play straight. Ewan Chatfield today is batted for probably the longest period that we've seen on his tours to this country. So they're fighting as hard as they possibly can.
And the New Zealand batsman giving nothing away, still trying, looking for the quick single or the bad delivery, trying to punch it away for 4. Ewan Chatfield and Martin Snedden putting together a little stand here. In fact, I think they've put on 27 for this wicket. And Martin Snedden has moved on to 20 and hit 1 or 2 good shots. And they're certainly making the Australian bowling attack work for the wickets.
Well, he's got hold of that. It's gone very high and long. That's 6 runs. My word, there's been some big hitting here today. The play struck straight down the ground then by Martin Snedden. A big hit, that. Right off the meat of the bat.
It really is a big hit, this. It went back into the stand, I should think, something like about 10 or 12 rows into that stand. It was a huge 6. He really middled that one.
Gone again, he gets this down to Hogg, who comes across and cuts it off. Just the single. Massive crowd here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground today. Really enjoying this big hitting display by the New Zealanders, although they're going down fighting. Deflection down to third man, just the single. Crowd today, 71,393. That's a tremendous crowd. And the total for the year at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, a massive 491,245 people have come to see the cricket on this great ground. And full credit to Jack Lyons, the curator of late. These wickets have been absolutely superb. Deflection, that's racing away towards the boundary. Lawson won't get this one. 4 more runs. So Snedden's showing some class as the tail wags for New Zealand. Too late, but they're not throwing in the sponge by any means.
They're certainly not throwing the sponge in, but Australia's fielding in the present moment showing a bit of couldn't care less sort of attitude. I don't think that's quite fair on the medium pace bowler of Ken McClay to be taking this stick. I know Australia have got the game wrapped up, but I still don't think there's any excuse. And the bowler's career might be on the line. And it looks as though they'll take 2 here, but they haven't bothered. And New Zealand now 8 for 143, needing 160 to win.
Well, 491,000 people to the massive Melbourne Cricket Ground. Full credit to the players, the Englishmen, the New Zealanders and the Australians have really entertained. The run rate in the test matches was well over 50 runs per 100 balls bowled. The Benson Hedges World Series Cup matches, we've seen some tremendous scores. 296 in Adelaide, beaten by New Zealand. As Chappell comes in. A single there off Chappell's bowling as he deflects it down to backward square leg. The Australians going through the motions and can't wrap up the tail. They're hanging on and scoring some valuable runs. Ewan Chatfield enjoying this little stint at the wicket. There's no pace about. He's got the helmet on and he's trying to play straight. He's on 10. Big shout, he's out. Tony Clark having a good look, trying to hit across the line. A big shout from Greg Chappell. 9 for 144 New Zealand.
Greg Chappell giving us a little more air. It's him actually on the foot. Full toss. And the umpire looked at it and then eventually gave the decision, and that's out. It looked to me as though it might have hit middle stump. It's 9 for 144.
Martin Snedden on 33. He loses his partner. Ewan Chatfield, who played very well. It wasn't his fault that the team's in this position. He's bowled very well again today. Ewan Chatfield's had a fine season for New Zealand. So the Australian players watch the replay on the giant screen at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Webb coming out, the final man for New Zealand, flying across yesterday. Must be wondering what's happened, Fred. They're chasing 302 and they're 9 for 144.
He was enjoying himself yesterday in New Zealand, where he'd taken 4 wickets in a match when he got the call at 4 o'clock, I understand. And he had to catch the plane and get across to Australia, where it was all a different sort of match and atmosphere.
Richard Webb walks out in front of 71,000 people. He's batting after Ewan Chatfield, which would suggest to us that he's not a great batsman. But what a moment for him. Flown out yesterday to replace the injured Richard Hadley. Some support from Martin Snedden, which is great to see. Probably saying relaxed and enjoyed it. It's a great moment for us all. 491,000 people have been to the Melbourne Cricket Ground as we see Chappell pick up his first wicket today. The full pitch, hitting middle stump. No doubt in the mind of umpire Tony Crafter, or Greg Chappell for that matter. And it's 9 for 144. So Richard Webb to face Greg Chappell bowling spinners.
Well, Greg Chappell might look, but he'd given the signal earlier that he was going to bowl a leg spinner. But he was right about leg. It pitched out there. It didn't spin. But, it's a nice forward defensive shot from Richard Webb. He's not going to give anything away either by the look of things. And Greg Chappell picking up another wicket. He's had a good series with the ball, really. And that's the leg spinner. Attempted sweep, and that could come for 2 or 3 or possibly 4, as Alan Border doesn't worry too much about it. And that's 4 runs to Richard Webb. He'll remember that shot in front of 71,000 people. And this is how he did it. And for a sweep, underside edge. And picked up 4 runs. You'll be very happy about that.
I'm sure he is, as Greg Chappell comes in to bowl the final delivery of this over. The end of the over. 9 for 148. And already the police are coming onto the ground to protect the wicket and the players. What a great day for Australia it has been. They batted superbly, 302 for 8, and their bowlers today were right on line. Plenty of fire and endeavour, and they never allowed the New Zealand batsmen to get back into this match. Struggled to get to the final series. They played wonderfully well. They played well on Wednesday night in a day-night match in Sydney when conditions after rain suited them. And we're going to see now David Hooks to bowl left-arm Chinaman to try and wrap up the tail and give Australia victory in this, the second final of the best of 3 finals. Martin Snedden on 33 as the field drops out, deep backward square leg. Knows the call from Snedden as it goes out to Smith. A little bit of an anti-climax here, but one must never forget the innings of Lance Cairns today. Tremendous hitting against the Australian pace attack. It's close to a wide and it's called by umpire McConnell. 71,000 people booed the Western Australian umpire, but that was definitely a wide. Wrong, he doesn't pick it, but he hits it well to cover point. That's Greg Chappell. Martin Snedden. A little bit of turn coming from off to leg. Wrong at the back of the hand from the Chinaman left-hander. So a pitch and spin out the back of the hand. Strikes it down to long on to hog a single. 150 up for 9.
It's Australia seem to be just cruising along, just waiting for it to happen. They know they've got it in the bag now. Just 1 wicket left for New Zealand. And they still need 153 to win.
Little deflection. Goes down to backward square leg, just for the one. The crowd crying out, give Marsh a bowl. Dare I suggest that?
It's usually give Stacky a bowl here, isn't it? not Rodney.
Pulls that nicely, but straight to Smith at backward square. That's the over from Hooks. 9 for 151. Tim Hughes would be very happy with his team today. They've been disciplined in the field until the last few overs, but it doesn't really matter. The bowlers have bowled a great line and length. And they've got away to such a great start this morning with Wood and Smith putting on 140 for the first wicket.
Yes, that was the killer blow when 140 runs went on the board, and the rate they went on, because Wood went off like a house on fire and the score rocketed along. And then, of course, Steve Smith compiled that wonderful 100 to back it all up. They scored something like 208 runs between them, the two openers. That's Steve Smith. And remember his first 100 at international level. And he really hit some beautiful shots. And from then on, New Zealand had to be struggling. And when they lost Wright, Turner and Howarth so quickly, the writing was on the wall.
It's in the air. Hogg doesn't make the ground. Throws to the bowler's end to be safely home. 152 for 9. The 39th over. 151 runs required for victory. Just fell in short of Rodney Hogg and fired it into Greg Chappell. Took it beautifully on the first bounce.
Martin Snedden calling very quickly there, yes, and off. He's saying, look, there's 2 to go. Tried to stay there. He wants to try to stay there. He thinks New Zealand can still win this match. It's a very good attitude to take at this point.
Well, I think he's saying, Fred, that there's 50 overs to be bowled. Let's bat them out, because they're not going to throw in 1 ball remaining. Martin Snedden suggesting to Richard Webb at the striker's end as Chappell comes in. That's the over. 9 for 153. Batsman out. Turner for 1. Wright 3. Howard 3. Crowe 27. Coney 2. Morrison 2. Lees 3. Lanscans 52. 6 sixes and 1 4. Snedden not out 35. Chatfield 10. Webb not out 6. Extras are 9. It's 9 for 153 after 39 overs. Lawson superb with the ball today. 8 overs, 3 maidens, 3 for 11. Hogg 10, 1 for 31. Dennis Lillee a good spell. 2 for 29 off 7 as Hooks comes in from the members' end. And Snedden's certainly going to try and bat out the 50 overs for New Zealand. He's improved immensely with his batting. 35 runs off only 45 deliveries. 4 fours and 1 6. $71,000 people seen Australia dominate today's play. He's gone for the big hit, got the end of the bat, straight to Lawson at square leg. A reminder that after the fall of the last wicket, a presentation to the winning team and losing teams, International Cricketer of the Year. Quick delivery from Hooks, and that was a good one, but he kept it out with a bit of inside edge. The crowd clapping and chanting for blood. They want this last wicket to fall. Wrong, and he just got it onto the pad as it whipped through quickly. Big shot, he's gone. That's it for Australia. They wrapped it up. New Zealand all out for 153. Caught behind by Rodney Marsh. Hooks gets a wicket, but congratulations to all the Australian team. Particularly skipper Hughes, who battled early in the season, was under a lot of pressure. What a happy man he'll be tonight. Well played, Graham Wood. A fine knock at 91. Australian skipper going to all these players. Rodney Marsh, Lawson, it's great to see, winning by 149 runs in the second final and wrapping up the series 2-0. A very happy Australian team and skipper. Team talking to one another, walking off as a group. Rodney Hogg, who was a fine bowler throughout the series. Alan Border chipped in with some fine knocks when it was needed in the middle part of the series. Good all-round performance by the Australian team, Fred Truman.
Very good performance indeed. They struggled to even get into the finals, but once they got in, they stamped their authority on it. They won in Sydney, they came here, and then they really went to town with 302 runs, a score that really must have looked like Mount Everest to the New Zealand boys. And when they lost those 3 quick wickets, those 3 fine players, Turner, Wright and Howarth, it was all over. And the Australians got their teeth into it and they never let it go, and they ran out in the finish worthy winners of this competition. It was a struggle at the start, but everything has come right at the end, and this is how the last wicket went to give them the victory they wanted. It's Marsh taking a catch off Snedden from the bowling of David Hooks, and it's all over, and they've wrapped up the Benson and Hedges series for 1983.
And that completes this coverage of the Benson and Hedges World Series cricket from Australia this season. So there it is, a disappointing end for New Zealand, but remembering they did finish second, Australia first, New Zealand second and England third. We won't be staying for the presentations from Australia, but we can tell you that Richard Hadley won the Ampol strike rate for batting, and David Gower won the International Player of the Year award. So Australia winning the World Series cricket for 1982-83 and New Zealand finishing second. Our next cricket coverage on Television New Zealand will be the one-day international between...
Great Dennis Lillee was in New Zealand during this past week promoting his latest book, Over and Out. Dennis Lillee holds the world record for the number of wickets in Test cricket, 355 from a 70-Test career. But when I spoke to him at Wellington Airport on Tuesday, I asked him about his life after cricket.
Well, I really don't know as far as long-term is concerned. Short-term, I've got a few business things that I want to tidy up. I've got commercial commitments, fortunately for a couple of years, and the odd promotion, and try and spend a little bit of time sort of surfing and with the family.
Would it be fair to say that you have made quite a bit of money out of cricket, so you're comfortably set up for life?
No, I'm nowhere near comfortably set up for life. I'll have to do something. I've got enough there at least to keep me going for a few years, but no way. You know, I mean, it's sort of... A lot of the things that I've invested in, unfortunately, are long-term, and of course, you must get your return. You've got to pay them off and get your return out of those.
But the fact that you have been able to make a fair amount of money out of cricket does reflect the great change that cricket has undergone in the time that you've been at the top. Do you think the changes such as more money, professionalism, night cricket, and the like are for the good of the game, for the betterment of the game?
I've no doubt at all. My only reservation is that I hope that the players don't get too greedy and end up sort of trying to rape the board of control or the boards of control, so much so that in fact the cricket will start to suffer. We've seen that in rugby league and Australian rules football in Australia, but I think they're smart enough not to do that.
We have had a lot of innovations to the way the game has been staged with the amount of limited over cricket, particularly at the international level, the night cricket I mentioned. Is there any more innovation to come in the game, do you think?
Yeah, I think we might see quite a bit, actually. It's an exciting period. I think one of the major things we'll see is a lot more 4-day and 5-day cricket at night. I think we'll see the Sheffield Shield in particular, which doesn't really have the following during the day because of so much cricket. The people have the option of watching one-day games and test matches, and they opt out of the Shield. And I think what they'll do is, because they have more time at night, they'll tend to go along to night Shield cricket.
The Australian team is about to embark on a series against the West Indies. The Australian team for the first time will be without all 3 of the great triumvirate of recent years, Lillee, Marsh and Chappell. Do you think they're good enough to foot it with the West Indies both this season and with other teams in the years to come?
Yeah, I'm sure that they've got the potential there to do it. I think the main thing is that they do it in a thinking way. You know, we saw Alan Border over in the West Indies make a lot of runs against the West Indies. Unfortunately, most of the others failed. If some of them take a bit of a leaf out of his book, and on the bowling side, if they bowl with their head and don't get too carried away with, you know, bounces and things like that, just bowl the liberal sprinkling, I think the level-headed approach will give the West Indies a bit of a run for their money.
Because really it is the end of an era. In recent years we've had the tour to England in 81, Pakistan 82 and then the West Indies earlier this year. On all three of those tours, the three of you, the Lillee, Marsh, Chappell combination was never there in its entirety, and the team seemed to suffer as a consequence. So can they really survive without any great players?
Well, maybe they suffered short term, but I think long term what has happened is it's given other guys an opportunity to have an introduction to Test cricket, and through that they've gained a bit of experience, and now hopefully they'll use that experience. So I think maybe it's been a bit of a blessing that we haven't always been available for tours.
You toured New Zealand 3 times, once as an up-and-comer, twice as an established player. Bearing in mind our players, our pitchers, our umpires and our press, did you enjoy your contact with New Zealand cricket? And you can be as diplomatic or as undiplomatic as you like with your answer. When I was in New Zealand the first time, I must admit that coming here was a great new experience, and I look forward to it very much. Unfortunately, I didn't see too much and I didn't play too much. The second time, I enjoyed it very much because the New Zealand players had their world standing had really lifted, and they were a very competitive side. And the next time I came here, I mean, we almost got beaten a couple of times, and it was sort of a very, very good contest. And so if I sum it up, I must say I've really, enjoyed playing cricket in New Zealand. What I've enjoyed about it is I've seen a bit of what's happened in Western Australia over the years happen in New Zealand cricket. We were the Cinderella state, and I reckon New Zealand was a Cinderella cricket side when I first came here. And in the end, they've now compete with anyone in the world, and probably could, if but for the West Indies, could be one of the top 2 in the world. You've, during your time in cricket, been involved with 1 or 2 incidents, and the aluminium bat thing comes to mind, the kicking incident with Javed Miandad, and 1 or 2 other controversial moments. Do you ever regret the attitude you took to the game and the kind of thing that did happen to you as a consequence of your attitude to cricket? No, the only thing I regret was sometimes, say, with the Javed thing, where it may have had a bad influence on some of the kids. But the double regret on that is that there were 2 people involved and only one got a kick in the pants, so to speak. And unfortunately, people didn't want to have a look at the other side, the fact that Javed did in fact start the thing by whacking me with a bat. And the television cameras only wanted to show that last piece because it made better television. But other than that, no regrets. Yeah, I played it hard, and I did some things that were probably wrong. So did a lot of other players, but they didn't seem to get the press I did. Dennis Lillee in New Zealand earlier on this week, and the first test between Australia and the West Indies starts at the WACA ground in Perth this coming Friday. Now to racing.